All right, once again, back on a new video, and put my buckle up for safety here. You never know what's going to happen on my little street. Get my captain's chair's arms down so you know that I'm serious. Anyway, headed over to Rick's. Got a project today. We've got like 10 different projects planned, but today's project is electrical. And I'm going to take a set of Goodwill throwaway, cheapy jumper cables. They're all of about 10 gauge. And I'm going to rewire my radio console. We're going to repower it. When I put it in, like most of my projects, it was kind of good enough. I kind of threw some parts together, and with the intention of it being a temporary installation. And temporary in my world lasts a long, long time. So two of the downfalls, the major reasons that I'm messing with this at all, is it was never fused. So I have a 10 gauge wire going from my battery to this radio box all the time, because I run the radios when the ignition's off and that sort of thing. However, there was never an inline fuse put in that circuit, which, if you're an adult and have any understanding of why things burn down, you understand that that's not a good situation. Directly wiring stuff to your battery is problematic. The only caveat to that, I would say, is there is a fuse block kind of mounted down below, and so my radios are fused. So there is some stuff, but if that wire was ever to fray or short for whatever reason, it'd be a fire, it'd be catastrophic. I would be out hundreds of dollars in my investment, which in my world is a big amount of money. So what we're doing is I'm going to take these old jumper cables and wire them from my battery with an inline fuse to the radio box, and we're going to then also have a ground wire, and that brings up the second point. So I'm running a chassis ground on this box. Basically, I took an old recycled battery ground wire, and I went from the ground lug in the box to a seat stud on my seatbelt base, which it's a chassis ground. It is what it is. However, two of my radios, one being a Kenwood and one being a Motorola, are fine. No complaints. I talk to people all the time on them. However, my Anytone radio, which is my dual band UHF VHF radio, which frankly is very useful, when the engine is running, I get complaints from the folks that are trying to listen to me that they're hearing engine noise in the background. Kind of a whine, if you ever heard that. So I'm trying to take that out of there. I've tried chokes, I've tried a variety of things. However, the ultimate kind of big fix, in my opinion, is that, or one of the things that I know that causes problems, is kind of a disparity between the ground and the power situation. So I'm going to take that out of the thing, and I'll report back later if it cures the problem. So I will be running the ground wire to the ground lug of the battery and hopefully fixing that situation. Gee whiz. Just about got run off the road by a Tesla. Getting run off the road lately seems to be a whole theme in my life. So anyway, that's for today's project. We're probably going to talk about some other long-term projects. The Kenwood radio I currently have is programmed just for one state SAR channel, and in my area, of which there's 6 or 8 or a bunch of them. However, my generous friend Loren has supplied me with a commercial band radio very similar to my DMR Motorola. In fact, it's identical. The difference being the Motorola I currently have is UHF, and the one he has supplied me with is VHF. He also has the accompanying wiring for me to link both radios together, basically in effect creating a crossband repeater, which in search and rescue world can be important. It means you can park in a remote location, people in the field can speak on the VHF frequency. It goes to my VHF radio, which then is linked to the UHF radio, and rebroadcast on the UHF signal back to headquarters, they can hear a seamless communication. And if you're in an area that's mountainous or remote, the western United States basically is what I'm describing, Oregon specifically, Mount Hood specifically, where there's a lot of foothills, there's a lot of dead space, if you will, this can be an important thing. Typically, I can park, say, at Timberline Lodge. We have a permanent repeater set up on a nearby mountaintop. Tom, Dick, and Harry, if you're familiar with the area. And we have really good communications with maybe some of the mountain rescues that you've seen on the news. So I will be able to do that as a mobile thing. So if I go out to Central Oregon or whatever. And we're pulling up at Rick's shop. So I will jump back with you here in a second. Rick is texting or something, and I'm rolling down the window in the back so that we can get all the junk out and get on this project. I'm talking about running power to my new power box. I bought some, what do you call that?
Heat shrink.
Heat shrink. Got a couple packs of that. Got my heat gun. I wasn't sure if you had one.
I do, but I think it's at work right now.
Oh, okay. All right. And so this is what we're talking about, just to verify. $6.99. I'm pretty sure it was Blue Day at Goodwill when I picked these up. This is just a cheapy set of throwaway jumper cables, but I'm pretty sure you couldn't buy the wire for either $3 or $6.
No.
On Amazon, I bought these inline fuses. I made a mistake, so if you need an inline fuse, just contact me because I have several spares. What I've done here that before I rolled cameras was I crimped these together just using my Infinity supply of Planters connectors.
It's nice that they're organized.
It makes things speedy that way. Okay.
Fully true with my new hobby.
Yeah, exactly. So I have the heat shrink over just a crimp-on connector. These wires are basically the same gauge. You can see that I cleverly crimped this on. I highly recommend having a set of pro level. Forgive me, these have been used and abused for about 25 years, but they're Thomas & Betts crimpers. I think Klein make them. Basically every tool maker makes a version, but I like the heavy duty ones, not the cheap automotive ones. These are made for pros to use. I allegedly was a pro at one time. This is a 40 amp fuse, as I mentioned before. So you can see I have not cut off the connectors on this end yet. Take care of that right now. And so we're going to go from my car battery to the, I've got two cameras and I don't know which one to look at, but we'll go with the GoPro. Anyway, I've got these guys. All I'm going to do is strip them back about 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and put on some more eyelets so that we can put these into the radio panel and the radio console, and we'll come back when. All right, so we're back. I'm putting on the heat shrink because normally I do everything twice. In fact, I've got 3 connectors out here because I'm prepared to fail.
But you're not prepared to fail twice.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Well, we go to the hardware store. Valid point.
I might have one.
Oh, awesome. So what we're going to do is just crimp these guys back on here. Super tidy. And yeah, so this is just proud there a little bit. And we'll just put a little dimpley in there.
I like that you have mismatched handles on that too.
On what?
On your crimper.
That's how they come.
No.
That day one.
All right.
When I found them in the crawl space of a bank in Malibu or wherever I was working at the time.
Okay.
No, some unfortunate electrician years before I'd left them down there to rot, so I picked them up.
Yeah.
But they work super good for these. And we've got that and that. No, when I'm actually buying stuff, it's from Harbor Freight. As evidenced by my super high quality heat gun. When it's my money, I'm much more frugal.
I have one of their super high quality heat guns too, and it's never missed a beat. I've had it for years. So.
Yeah, well, and this one's older too. Okay. This is always the satisfying part.
Yeah.
until we find out it's not going to work.
You know that no matter what the quality of the crimp is, it's not coming off.
Yeah, it's held together by glue. You can see that my battery was manufactured in October of 2016. It works. Yeah. So what we're talking about here is this janky wiring. You'll see I made a valiant attempt at fixing this with magnetic chokes. And so what we're going to do is take our 8mm and disconnect the ground. Boy, I thought this battery was in there.
Gravity's your friend, but...
Yeah, I mean, technically it's mounted, but it seems a little loose. Yeah. That might not be ideal.
That's not like you go off-road or anything.
Yeah. It's good to have you around, Rick. Keep me real.
Sorry.
And you'll notice when I replaced the starter last week, I did actually invest in only the finest and foreign-made solenoids, because that was what was available.
Quite often when it's your only vehicle, you want to go the extra mile.
Yeah. Okay, so the ground is off, and we will disconnect this top. Do I need to undo it from the terminal? I mean, to clean it, because we've talked about cleaning it.
Yeah, but for now, let's just take the top nut off. And
yeah.
All of those are going to need to be cleaned as well as the rest of it.
So, used a 1/2 and an 1/8. You can see I've reconnected it short of my power box, and the reason I've reconnected it is that I can't open the door to get into where I need to go. So we're coming right back. And using my only the most professional lighting, that is the grommet we're going through. If you can look up here, I have my power wire routed kind of up onto the tunnel there, and then it comes in right there in the power box. We're going to come back with a better lighting situation. And runs into the box, and I haven't had that box open in probably 2 years, so we'll see how that goes. Yes, this may have been an old street sign at one point, but that's my radios, the back side. I haven't looked in here since I did it. As you can see, we're dealing with mass confusion. So I've got the black wire, the second black wire is just an antenna cable that I was too lazy to fish in, so we're doing it now. And I'm using the old wire as a pull wire, and as you can see, I've got a PL259 connector for the antenna wire up there. If you're pulling wire, you shouldn't be afraid of wasting electrical tape, to kind of build like a little thing, although we're not going through a very tight area. Like many things, this project, it was far more effort than I wanted. As you can see, I've got some wire reserve there that'll probably get sucked back in the engine compartment. This is my pull wire, which you see to the right of the screen. Where my thumb is there's a PL259 sealed up in there, my antenna cable, and my new battery cables, as well as the old battery cable, or the old power cable, I should say. Alright, so much like the war in Afghanistan, I have shifting priorities. So this is kind of what we're dealing with here. This is my dual band Anytone. This is the Kenwood that's going away. Then I have the Motorola XP down here. And then I have the new and improved radio that Loren supplied me. My radio hookup, which, as you can see, 4550. Yeah, they're the exact same model. And so what I'm thinking is, rather than getting in here again, that my idea is that this Kenwood, which again, I use it on one VHF frequency. That's it. Just to get it out of here right now while we got the panel out. We're doing a radio installation like a blacksmith with a vise and whatever. Hold the camera.
Maybe a graysmith.
Graysmith. All right, so that's upside down. That's right side up.
The hole doesn't care.
All right, I have to show you adjusting the...
This is how you adjust aluminum. You need a hammer and some brass.
All right, disregard the goofy headlamp, but here we go. I've got my repeater box pre-wired, and I've looped all the cables together. This is my Anytone at the top, and obviously the two Motorola's on the bottom. Got a converter cable that's going to go into this VHF DMR, and I'll show you what's going on in the box. We did a little bit of cleanup in there, reattached the fuse box, So these are kind of Siamese together, but as you can see, this isn't loose anymore. This one down here is firmly attached. Got the new power wire there, new ground wire. I've moved some stuff to my secondary power box up here, which is spotlights here on 10 amp fuses. They're just LED ones. My dome lights on speaker wire. I apologize for that. Again, not a pro level dude. And then my USBs up here for my little cigarette lighter plugs. I love when that blinks out. Anyway, I've got a little 3-pack of cigarette lighters up there. So this is what the jumper cables turned out to look like. I think it, obviously not, nobody's paying me to do this for sure. Or if you were, I'm sorry. But I'm just doing this for myself. What we're looking at, I know it looks like spaghetti, but there's not a lot you can do if you want to remove stuff occasionally. So we've got 2 Motorola radios here. Got the adapters to go to PL259s, and I don't know what these little guys are called. I've got all the power hooked up. We secured that bottom fuse box down there. I've got power for my 2 Motorola's here, and then my Anytones here. For whatever reason, I cut the pigtail super short. The Anytone's on a 20 amp fuse. The 2 Motorola's are on 30 amp fuses, which they're rated for. My other various accessories, my spotlights, my dome light, my USBs are on a separate block up here that is Siamese to the main block. We've got the main power from the battery coming into this block here, a direct ground, which again I have high hopes for. I've got a variety of antenna wires here, which it is ideal or not ideal. I also have the repeater wired in, and that box has yet to be mounted. It's down right here. So we're just gonna set this guy down in there. These little side screws on the Motorola's are a little wide for the case. So this is my intention. Oh. All right, we just need to hook power to this thing and watch for the smoke. I got a fire extinguisher handy. Yep. Well, I mean, theoretically, we're all fused up now, so.
Yeah, it'll be a small amount of smoke.
Right, and then we'll hear a loud pop. Yeah. Back. This is the first startup after the massive installation here. Okay, so it runs. Go ahead and shut it down. And just stick the keys right there. They'll stick on there. All right, let's see what we got going on up here. So my jumper cables are now on my freshly cleaned terminals. And you see I've got a little 40 amp fuse right there. You were going to put the goop on there, right? Yep. Well, get after it. We'll do it on camera. This will be great TV. How long have you had this stuff?
I don't know.
So because I always love asking Rick stuff like this, because he inevitably has something that he bought in the 1970s that he still has. Because you were just telling me how long that can lasts.
Yeah. And well, you know.
This is our what is it? Anti-corrosion?
Yeah, it's supposed to keep these from looking like they did
before.
A little bit ago.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, it gives you a nice bright red color once it touches your skin to freak out your friends.
Yeah, yeah. Dan. I don't think Dan watches YouTube, so I think we'll be fine.
I imagine he does, but probably nothing that's socially appropriate.
Well, there's that too. All right, so here we are. Let's see if, well, we have ignition in one, and the speaker came up, so that's good. And we have power in the second one, and it's in fact on SAR orange, and it's working. All right, mission accomplished, kind of. So the the radio console looks much better than what it started out. It's still, you know, again, not a pro level dude, just a kind of a DIY hack, cheap dude. We have the jumper cables currently installed, as well as other stuff. So it's much better. We tested a little bit. It doesn't sound like we're getting that same audio from the engine noise over the Anytone radio. And like I said, I wasn't anticipating putting in the new Motorola, linking them for the repeater setup. I've goofed something up, so we'll see how that goes. I know radio dudes. I have a ham license. I have a little expertise in that. However, I know a bunch of guys that are really pro-level ham radio operators. And so when I get these radios, it's through those guys. They're kind of funding this little deal, because I currently have a bunch of money invested in radios that, well, I didn't pay for. So, whatever. But I do use them pretty frequently. This thing as a mobile repeater hasn't been a thing until now, but I'm excited for that upgrade. And it's noon on Sunday, and Rick's continuing on with his day, and I'm headed home. So we'll see. I can't remember if I videoed the end result of the engine bay, but we did clean up the battery terminals and put the wiring and tie wrapped it in, so it hopefully is going to be better. We cleaned up to the best of my ability the radio box, the fuse boxes repositioned, and it's in a better situation than what it was. And I reallocated a few circuits to different places, so again, we'll see how we go. Listen, if you're making fun of me or anything like that, I get it. This is pretty down and dirty, DIY type stuff, and it's definitely budget, so have fun with it. And I'm headed home now to possibly edit this video. We'll see how it goes. I've got a 2-minute trip to my house from Rick's place. Had a pretty fun afternoon. Mostly I did not videotape him making fun of me, so I anticipate whatever, slings and arrows. We'll see how we go.